What's up, guys? It's Mason and I'm back with another video. Now you might be noticing that this room looks different. That's because I moved into a new apartment. This apartment is actually closer to my job and it puts me closer to my family and my friends. I think this is the room that I'm going to be shooting all of my YouTube videos from now on. But that's not really the topic of today's video. In today's video, I want to cover the question of can you still use your MacBook in the future once Apple Silicon rolls out? And will you be able to upgrade your old Mac to Apple's new operating system, Mac OS Big Sur? If you own an older MacBook, these might be very good questions that you are asking right now. Can I upgrade to Big Sur if I'm still using an old Intel Mac? And will I be able to use my MacBook for very much longer once Apple Silicon rolls out? Well, I'm here to try and answer those questions the best that I can and hopefully put your mind at ease. So without further ado, let's dive in and find out, shall we? Alright guys, so for most of you who have subscribed to my channel or seen any of my videos, you probably recognize this guy. This is my mid-2009 MacBook A1181. She's my daily driver. In 2020 I'm still using this thing, but I bought her back in 2016 and used her primarily for school. But she's a good laptop. But a lot of exciting stuff is happening at Apple right now. They're getting ready to release their own processors, which they're calling Apple Silicon. They're finally releasing an update to Mac OS, which a lot of us speculated would be called 10.16, but Apple has since dropped the 10. Anything name and are moving up to Mac OS 11. So really exciting stuff happening at Apple. But what does that mean for users like me and you who are still using old Macs like this? Will these old MacBooks still be able to run once Apple Silicon comes out and Big Sur drops? So I'm going to go ahead and fire up this guy, and we're actually already logged in to Mac OS Catalina. Now, for most of you who don't know, the MacBook A1181 ran from 2006 to 2009. It's made out of the white polycarbonate plastic. It is dubbed Crackbook for a very good reason, because these things are notorious for chipping and cracking everywhere. But they were still a very unique and special MacBook to the lineup. A lot of people thought this MacBook was a cheap budget Mac that Apple released for those who couldn't afford a nicer Mac. But in reality, these Macs weren't budget Macs at all. They still sold for close to $1,000 brand new. They were very much a serious MacBook in Apple's lineup, and a very unique Mac at that, being that a lot of you probably aren't used to seeing a white one since they haven't made a white one in a very long time. But that's what makes this laptop really cool and special, is because you don't see a Mac like this anymore, especially not a white one. And you really don't see one that's in this good a shape. And even mine's not perfect. I'm still, noticing the flaws here and there. So, there is that. But what does all this exciting news at Apple mean for me with this MacBook? And what is it going to mean for all of you guys? Well, to be honest, we don't really know yet, because a lot of this is still pretty fresh news and the updates are still coming out. Little by little we're finding out a little bit more about what Apple's actually doing. Apple dropped support back in 2016 or 2017 for this guy right here. The last operating system this guy can actually upgrade to is El Capitan. And that's for the mid-2009. If you get a white Mac that's older than that, I believe it can't go to El Capitan. I want to say it's Yosemite, which is where it stops. However, thanks to a guy named DOSDude1, I was actually able to upgrade this thing all the way to Catalina. And if you want to know how that worked and what it's actually like using this thing with Catalina, I do have another video on my channel which you should check out called It's Time for an Update. And you can see about how the update went, how the Mac works with it, all that kind of stuff. But in this video, I mainly want to focus on, can I still use this thing in the future? Now, I've been researching this news pretty heavily because as a MacBook user myself and a college student, I want to know, am I still going to be good to go with this guy in the future? And to be honest, a lot of people just don't have all the answers yet, and Apple really hasn't said much. But the speculation is that if we look back to Apple's transition earlier on in the early thousands, when they transitioned from PowerPC to Intel, they created a program called Rosetta which was able to translate the PowerPC command and language into Intel's command and language, so that processor could understand how the applications ran that worked on PowerPC. Now bear with me as I try to explain all this. I hope I'm doing a good job. But basically, Intel didn't know how to operate these programs because they ran on PowerPC's architecture. So Apple created a program to translate these applications' commands and instructions into that of which Intel could understand. Now, a lot of people speculate that Apple's going to do this again, and I believe Apple is already working on, if I'm correct, I feel like I might be wrong on this, but if I'm correct, they are going to release another Rosetta. I should probably do more research, honestly, but I think another Rosetta is going to come out, which will be able to translate all of these applications that run on Intel's architecture and instruction so that the ARM processors can be able to run these programs. So what does that mean for me and you? Basically, that means that if you are still using an Intel Mac, you should still be good to use an Intel Mac. Once the ARM processors come out, you should still be able to use all of your applications and all of your programs, just like normal. And I would imagine if you're on a current MacBook, say, I want to say a 2015 and up, you should be good to receive the update to Mac OS Big Sur normally when it does come out, the public release, closer to the end of this year. Your MacBook will tell you the usual, you have an update available, and you'll go into your system settings and you'll see it there in System Update. The update to Mac OS Big Sur will be in there. Right now there's just developer betas out, and a lot of different YouTubers I watch are already on the developer betas, kind of checking it out, and it looks really cool. It's a big change, it's a big update. If you have noticed, Mac OS has looked the same for years. They have not changed anything about it. Maybe the icons changed a little bit, but you've always had at the bottom your dock, at the top your menu bar, and icons that go on the desktop. It's been generally the same. And to be honest, it really hasn't needed to be changed, because why fix something that's not broken? It works. It's a great experience using Mac OS, so I'm not really complaining that they haven't changed it. But I'm sure some people are probably like, yeah, this is getting long in the tooth, so I think it's, time for an update. You can see here my Mac actually has some updates. So, if you have an old polycarbonate MacBook like this, you should still be fine. Mine's running Catalina, and it's not supposed to, but it's still receiving updates like normal, and it still functions just fine. Now, the second question is, can you upgrade your old Mac to Mac OS Big Sur? Well, now that is kind of a tricky question, but also a simple one. If you look at the facts, Apple has already stated on their website which Macs are actually going to receive the update. So, I want to say, and don't quote me because I may need to go back and double check my information, but I want to say 2015 MacBooks and up will be able to receive the update to Big Sur normally. Anything below 2015 Mac, I believe your support ends with Catalina. So if you have a 2012 or a 2013 or a 2014, or heck, if you even have an old white Mac like mine, you're not going to get the update. However, I don't doubt that somebody will create, probably a way for older MacBook users like me and you to be able to get, the new Mac OS. Now, what if you don't want to update to the new Mac OS? What if you just want to keep Catalina? Can you still use your Mac if you don't update? I would say that you can. You should still get a good 4 or 5 years out of Catalina before, anything bad really happens. I would say you should be totally fine. You can use Catalina for about 4 to 5 years before programs and applications start, having issues running because of compatibility, because they update further than the operating system can handle. So the bottom line here is, simply put, you should still be able to use your older Mac for another good 4 to 5 years, easily, with no trouble. And when Apple does finally make the switch to Apple Silicon, you should also still be just fine with your older Mac. You'll still be able to use it like normal. Apple will probably, and again, don't quote me on this, but they'll probably have a translation program like Rosetta out again to translate Intel instruction into ARM instruction so that their new silicon processors can be able to run all of your programs. You won't lose any data, you won't lose any work, and honestly, you should be fine. But I recommend that if you are in the market for a MacBook, I recommend you wait until closer to the end of this year, just because literally Apple Silicon is right around the corner. Don't rush to buy a Mac right now, not an Intel Mac, unless you desperately have to have one. I would say wait until the Apple Silicon comes out and then get the Mac. Since this is pretty much where Apple's heading, I would say it's better to wait and jump on the bandwagon once Apple Silicon is out, since that is kind of the way of the future now. That's the way everything's heading, and I think if you don't already own an Intel Mac, I would just kind of steer clear of them, as their days are numbered. Alright guys, so I hope this video helped put your mind at ease and gave you some clarity. Hopefully now you won't be so worried about the future of your MacBook, and you'll be able to see and understand the picture better. I do apologize for anything that may have been misleading. I know in the comments people might be telling me my information is wrong or that I messed up on some stuff. And I am sorry about that. I'm just trying to help you guys understand better what's going on to the best of my knowledge. I've been researching this, and I'm going to keep researching and kind of staying on top of this topic until Apple Silicon actually rolls out and until Mac OS Big Sur actually comes out, because I'm very excited to see what's coming. I'm a huge fan of Apple, as I'm sure a lot of you are, and I find this stuff really exciting. So I'm definitely eager and ready to see what Apple's working on and what they release to us when it's finally time. So that's going to do it for today's video, but if you guys liked what you saw, please don't forget to hit that notification bell, like and subscribe, and as always, I will catch you guys in the next one.